Some of them were on the cruise ship, but they were all had survived the COVID-19. The symptoms that they described were much worse than what you've experienced with having a cancer diagnosis and receiving chemo at the same time.
I was pretty sick. Maybe I'm downplaying it. Like that time was when my best friend was like, I can't sit here in Seattle and watch you be this way alone. I have to come take care of you and help you. There's just no way this is right. And so I'm probably downplaying a little bit, but I had a fever between 101 and 102.6, vacillating for about 3 days. I felt extremely couldn't lift my head off the pillow for about 3 days. I had seriously low energy, couldn't really talk to, my friend Marnie came by with her daughter, and because it was my birthday on Monday the 23rd, and so they came by and put up a big sign on my lawn, and I was trying to be gracious and grateful and say hello, and she's like, I've never seen you that close to death. She's like, you look like you were going to die. I was really sick. I was definitely really sick. But I got through it. I mean, I'm so grateful to my body, and I'm impressed and pleased, grateful, proud, I'm good. I got through it, and it feels good to have gotten through it, because then you have an antibody, or that if it comes around again, you're, more likely to be able to, kill it off or fight against it. It was very interesting to notice my psychology, basically, after I got a positive diagnosis. I was no longer afraid I was like, oh, okay, I've had it now, Mm-hmm. I feel good. It definitely was very interesting to notice how I felt hanging up the phone from that guy who called to tell me it was positive from before he called, because although I was just really unimpressed with how long it's been since I had symptoms, and I thought, gosh, that doesn't seem like that's a very long time. I feel like I should be self-isolated a lot longer to that, or take more care, or whatever. But they don't know.
Knowing that you had the virus and you made it through, the symptoms didn't seem that much worse than what your, the chemo treatment.
No, because I thought they were the chemo side effects, but they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't had any of those symptoms this time around, and I had triple the TAXOL because I changed it to every, once every 3 weeks instead of every week. So it's not quite triple the dose, but it's a much higher dose, and it takes a lot longer to infuse and all that. So I presumably should have been even more sick this time, but I didn't have any of the symptoms that turns out they were COVID symptoms, not chemo symptoms. I mean, nausea for me is just, I don't get nauseous very easily. Went for my first chemo treatment. They do kind of a nausea profile. It's funny. To me, it had the Western medicine allopathic ego written all over it. Is like their biggest goal is to make sure I don't get nauseous. They talked to me about this nausea. They're like, how likely are you to get nauseous? Do you get seasick? Do you get motion sickness? Do you get car sick? They asked me all these questions, and I'm like, not really. They said, well, I'm encouraged because it seems like your overall nausea profile is pretty low. And I'm like, yeah, I think so. But then when they gave me the chemo, they offered me an anti-nausea to add to the infusion, and I figured I would, for the first time, I would go for it and see what it did. And it makes me constipated, which I don't like, and I didn't have any nausea at all. So they gave it to me again this time, which, had I been thinking more clearly, I would have declined it. I would have asked them not to give it to me, because the anti-nausea does cause constipation, and I would much rather be a little nauseous than constipated. But yeah, no, so the symptoms are very different than COVID, and what I had was COVID. I don't think I'll experience the symptoms that I had from chemo.
This is part 2 of a series of excerpts from an hour-long session with one of my clients who is going through traditional chemotherapy for stage 3 ovarian cancer and contracted coronavirus during her second round of chemo. She has given me permission to share this session with my followers to help others. Stay tuned for additional excerpts from this informative and inspiring series shared in Portia's Wish Wellness newsletters and Dianne Porchia's YouTube channel. To receive Portia's Wish Wellness newsletters, contact Dianne, portiaswish.com,